Imagine a secret understood by Tibetan monks centuries ago, that holding a correct, still posture can engage more muscles than an hour of walking, with zero impact and zero risk. Today, I'll reveal 5 specific postures that target the root causes of your pain, with noticeable effects from the very first session. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm curious to see how far this message reaches. Item 1. The throne. Here's what truly happens in your knee when you experience pain. Chronic knee pain is rarely the problem itself. Instead, it's a symptom of a muscular imbalance that has developed gradually, often over years, without you even realizing it. Your quadriceps, those powerful muscles at the front of your thigh, have lost their tone. As a result, your knee no longer has the muscular armor that surrounded and protected it with every movement. Without this protection, the joint surfaces rub differently, tendons strain to compensate, and a dull or sharp pain sets in, sometimes accompanied by that familiar sensation of instability, that moment when you feel your knee might give out on the stairs or a slightly sloped pavement. This fear of a faltering knee is one of the biggest causes of immobility in people age 60 and over, and this immobility further aggravates muscle weakness, creating a vicious cycle that's difficult to break with usual methods. Walking alone doesn't rebuild this armor because it doesn't create enough sustained tension in the quadriceps. It engages them, certainly, but too briefly and repetitively to trigger true reconstruction. What's needed is to force these muscles to maintain a prolonged, full contraction until they have no choice but to strengthen deeply. And the best place to do that is against a wall in a seated position without moving a single millimeter. Now, imagine what your daily life will be like in 3 weeks if you practice this posture every morning. You'll rise from your armchair without clinging to the armrests. You'll descend stairs without that hesitation on the first step, without having to search for the handrail. You'll walk on a slightly inclined pavement without that anxious tension in your knee. You'll stand in a queue without having to lean against a wall after 5 minutes. These changes are not anecdotal. They represent your daily autonomy, your freedom to do what you want without calculating if your legs will hold up. And they are the direct and predictable consequence of what you demand from your muscles every time you hold this position. By holding the throne, you force your quadriceps to support your entire weight without any momentum, without any bounce. This demand activates the deep muscle fibers that surround the kneecap and keep it perfectly centered in its groove. A knee with a well-centered kneecap doesn't make noise, doesn't burn when descending stairs, and doesn't wake you up at night with throbbing pain. Lean against a smooth wall, feet about 45 centimeters forward, hip-width apart. Slowly slide your back down the wall until your thighs are parallel to the ground or as close as possible to that position. Your knees should form a 90-degree angle and remain exactly above your ankles, never forward. Your back stays fully in contact with the wall, hands flat on your thighs, shoulders relaxed. Inhale deeply and maintain the position, breathing regularly, without holding your breath at any point, as this would raise your blood pressure. Count 20 seconds to start. When your thighs begin to burn, stay for another 5 seconds, because it's at that precise moment that your deep muscles take over and the real work of reconstruction begins. Slowly rise by pushing through your heels. Rest for 1 minute and repeat twice. 3 sets practiced every morning will transform your knees in a few weeks. True health transformation doesn't come from an isolated exercise. It comes from dedicated, safe action repeated every day with intention. Feel that warmth in your muscles. That's a sign your body is already beginning to repair itself from within. Item 2. Summit balance. Why do your hips ache when you haven't suffered any trauma, fall, or accident? Millions of older adults ask themselves this question every year without ever getting satisfactory answers. They are told about osteoarthritis, natural wear and tear, and advancing age, and they leave with a prescription but no explanation. The answer, however, is often the same. Your pelvis is no longer held in perfect balance because the muscles that stabilize it laterally have gradually and silently weakened over years of sedentary living. With every step you take, your pelvis should remain perfectly horizontal, like a well-balanced tray. But when the lateral stabilizing muscles lack strength, the pelvis tilts slightly to the side of the leg that lifts, creating an asymmetrical tension on the weight-bearing hip. This repeated tilting, thousands of times a day, causes abnormal friction in the hip joint, and this friction generates that dull, persistent pain you feel after a long walk or simply after standing for too long. Do you recognize that moment when you finally sit down after an hour of standing and the pain arrives first, even before the relief? Or that moment when you get up from a chair and the first few seconds are the most painful before your body agrees to straighten up? These two sensations have the same origin. It's not an inevitability. It's a correctable imbalance, and you are making exactly the right decision by watching this video. The answer lies in controlled, single-leg support. When you stand on one leg with a slightly bent knee, you force exactly the lateral muscles of the pelvis to work statically to maintain your balance. These muscles cannot shirk their duty because they are the only thing preventing you from falling. This direct constraint forces them to contract, strengthen, and gradually regain the ability to keep your pelvis horizontal with every step. In a few weeks of regular practice, your gait will change. It will become more symmetrical, less limping, more fluid, and your hips, which no longer have to absorb repeated imbalances with each stride, will begin to calm down. The pain diminishes, not because you've taken medication, but because you've eliminated its cause. This lasting relief, without side effects and without cost, is exactly what this posture offers you. And unlike an injection or drug treatment, what you build here is lasting. Each session strengthens what was built the day before. Your body capitalizes on itself. Stand near a wall or a sturdy chair, with one hand lightly resting on it for safety only. Lift one foot off the ground, bending the lifted knee slightly behind you, and very slightly flex the knee of the standing leg, just a few degrees. Fix a precise point in front of you at eye level, because this visual fixed point instantly improves your balance. Voluntarily, contract the glute of the standing leg and keep your torso perfectly straight without leaning to the side. Hold for 20 to 30 seconds. Breathe regularly, then put your foot down and switch sides. If you tremble slightly, it's your nervous system recalibrating the connections with the stabilizing muscles in real time. This is an excellent sign. 2 sets on each side every day are enough to initiate this deep rebalancing. Item 3. The Sacred Mountain. In the high Tibetan plateaus, at over 4,000 meters altitude, ancient monks began each day with a practice they called active immobility. Standing in the cold dawn, they held a seemingly ordinary posture, feet anchored to the earth, body vertical, gaze fixed on the horizon. But internally, they simultaneously contracted every muscle group in their body, from their calves to their lower back, creating internal heat and perfect alignment that allowed them to endure hours of walking at altitude without pain. This ritual was not mystical, it was profoundly mechanical. By activating the entire posterior muscle chain at once, they aligned their spines, decompressed their vertebrae, and perfectly redistributed their body weight over both feet. These monks walked for hours without complaint because they began each day with this total awakening of the body. Their secret was not brute strength, it was conscious activation before effort. And this is precisely what your body expects every morning before you place your first foot on the ground, before stiffness sets into your knees. Preparing your muscles before engaging them is not an option. It's the difference between a painful day and a free day. What this posture does for you is direct and immediate. By voluntarily contracting your glutes, thighs, and calves simultaneously without moving, you trigger an automatic postural rebalancing. The pelvis stabilizes, the spine straightens, and your body weight distributes symmetrically over both feet. This rebalancing instantly relieves pressure on the most stressed knee, the one that was bearing more weight without you realizing it. And if you practice this posture every morning before taking your first steps, you program your body to adopt this alignment throughout the day, thereby reducing accumulated joint wear hour after hour. It's a 3-0-second investment that protects your joints for 16 hours. And there's something deeply satisfying in realizing that your body, with the right signal, can independently regain the alignment it had lost. You're not correcting your posture by force. You're reminding your body how to stand naturally. Stand upright, feet parallel, hip width apart. Distribute your weight evenly between your 2 feet and feel the 3 points of each foot in contact with the ground. Now, consciously contract your calves, then your thighs, as if you want to lift your kneecaps upwards, then your glutes, then slightly engage your core. Stretch your spine upwards as if a string is pulling your skull towards the ceiling. Your chin is slightly tucked in. Hold this total engagement for 30 seconds, breathing slowly. Release everything. Rest for 10 seconds and repeat twice. Item 4. The pillar of wisdom. The mistake almost all older adults suffering from leg pain make is neglecting their ankles. Knees are treated with anti-inflammatories. Hips are monitored, but ankles are forgotten as if they play no role in the chain of pain. Yet, the ankle is your body's first shock absorber. Before the impact of a step reaches your knee or hip, it must pass through your ankle. If the muscles surrounding this joint are weak, the shock is not absorbed at the base and travels directly up to the upper joints, retaining all its force. Each step then becomes a small percussion in your knee and hip. Multiply that by 10,000 steps a day, and you understand why some people suffer more the more they walk. A strong ankle is an active shield for everything above it. Strengthening it means treating the source, not the consequence. The pillar of wisdom uses isometric contraction in a high position to precisely target the muscles that play this shock-absorbing role. By holding the position on the balls of your feet, you force your calf muscles to maintain maximum tension without any bounce. It's this sustained tension, without the relaxation phase found in dynamic exercise, that builds the muscle density necessary for true protection. In parallel, the small stabilizing muscles of the ankle constantly work to maintain balance in the high position, improving proprioception, that invisible intelligence of your foot that protects you from missteps on uneven ground, dimly lit stairs, or cracked pavement. Strengthening these sensors is as important as strengthening the muscle itself. It's the combination of both, the power of the calf and the precision of the ankle, that will allow you to walk on any terrain without that constant wariness that many older adults develop with age, that gaze constantly lowered to the ground to anticipate the next obstacle. Stand facing a wall, both hands resting on it at shoulder height purely for balance. Slowly rise onto the balls of both feet over 2 seconds, as high as you can go. Really aim for the maximum. Hold this high position and maintain it for as long as possible. Aim for 20 to 30 seconds from the start. Do not let your heels descend before you've held your time. Slowly descend over 3 seconds without letting your heels bang down. Rest and repeat 3 times. If your calves burn quickly, it's a sign that this muscle has been waiting for this work for a long time. Most people fail here because they want to move, but your strength lies in your ability to remain still. Item 5. The Tibetan warrior's rest. The most common myth about back pain and lower back pain in older adults is that the problem comes from the vertebrae. People talk about worn discs, compression, lumbar osteoarthritis, and they resign themselves to suffering, thinking that the bones are the cause and there's not much to be done. But in the vast majority of cases, the true source of this pain is much more accessible and much more treatable. It's your glutes that have stopped working. The gluteus maximus, that immense muscle at the back of your pelvis, is supposed to be the primary engine of every step and the stabilizer of your entire standing posture. When it falls asleep due to lack of stimulation, other muscles take over its role, particularly the lower back and hamstrings, which are not designed for this permanent and continuous role. These compensatory muscles contract, become exhausted, and inflame, generating exactly the pain you feel in your lower back every morning upon waking. That stiffness that forces you to stand slightly hunched for the first few minutes before your body unlocks. Lie on your back on a mat or your bed, knees bent, feet flat on the floor about 30 centimeters from your glutes. Your arms are along your body, palms facing down. Inhale deeply and push through your heels to lift your pelvis until you form a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. At the top, contract your glutes with all possible intensity, as if you are squeezing something between them, and maintain this contraction for a full 30 seconds, continuing to breathe normally. Slowly lower, vertebra by vertebra, feeling each level of your spine make contact with the floor again. Rest for 20 seconds and repeat once. These 2 sets, totaling about 2 minutes, are enough to awaken a dormant gluteus maximus and reactivate the entire posterior muscle chain. After a few days of regular practice, you will wake up in the morning with a freer lower back. You will sit down and get up with less effort, and you will walk with a lightness you thought you had permanently lost. This is not a vague promise. It's the logical consequence of a muscle regaining its role. Your body hasn't forgotten how to function without pain. It just needed you to give it the signal to begin again. You've just explored 5 postures that target the 5 most vulnerable areas of your legs after 60. The quadriceps that protect the knee, the lateral stabilizers that support the hip, the posterior chain that straightens posture, the calves and ankles that absorb shock, and the glutes that liberate the lower back. These 5 postures prepare your legs to a level that ordinary walking simply cannot achieve. But if you want to go even further and truly surpass the benefits of simple walking, there's a unique exercise, even more powerful, that we'll explore in the next video. A single movement that condenses everything we've done today into just 3 minutes. I'll explain it all in the upcoming video. Don't miss it.